Hello, and welcome to day 121. I want to start today by talking about our do nothing meditation. We've been practicing the do nothing meditation for a couple of weeks now. So, what I would like to do is take the do nothing meditation to the next level. Um, the instructions that we were given by Leo, of course, were to allow everything to be as it is, right? Not to attempt to control anything at all, except for he mentioned the body, right? He said, that's the only place where you're controlling because you want to keep the body still. So while you're meditating, you're not drinking coffee and, filing your nails, right? You're sitting still with your eyes open and straight ahead or at the screen. And he commented, remember, that what happens a lot during meditation is the jaw gets tight. And so he commented on, when you notice the jaw is tight, just, let it relax again. Well, we're going to take those instructions and we're going to go a step further now. So we're still doing the same meditation, the do nothing meditation. And we're still allowing everything to be as it is. But the jaw isn't the only thing that sometimes becomes tight during a meditation. Another thing that can become tight during a meditation is focus. You may have noticed in the 2 weeks of doing this meditation that maybe sometimes, or maybe even frequently, your attention gets very, very focused on thought. There might even be a feeling, I'm not meditating, I'm just sitting here thinking or sitting here mesmerized by thought or whatever. So this is the next step that we're going to take. Now, we aren't going to do anything to try and control thought. But just like when we were allowing everything to be as it was, except for the body, we wanted to keep the body still and we wanted to keep the jaw loose. And if we happen to notice the jaw had tightened up, we loosened it again. We're now going to start trying to keep awareness open and free or loose, like the jaw is relaxed, right? Open and relaxed. That's a good way to say it. So when you're practicing the do nothing meditation, if you happen to notice that attention is really focused in on thought, you just want to try and relax attention. Broaden attention might be a good way of saying that. So, for example, let's imagine you're using the videos that I provide. You might notice that when attention gets really contracted on thought, even though your eyes are still looking at the video, you go a period of time without even seeing the video, right? It's kind of like driving when you're lost in thought. You drive and you don't recall where you've been driving the car. Same kind of thing. So when you notice that the attention has got really constricted on thought like that, you kind of want to loosen it up, relax attention, let awareness kind of spread out and start noticing the video or whatever your eyes are on again. Notice what the ears hear. Notice what the body is feeling. You might even notice sounds. You're going to keep your eyes straight ahead, but you might notice sounds that are in the environment that are coming from beyond the video or beyond the room that you're in. You just want to, just like you would relax your jaw, you have a tight jaw, it feels contracted. You have a loose jaw, even though your jaw doesn't really get bigger, it's looser, it feels a little more relaxed. You want to do that same thing with awareness. When awareness gets a little more relaxed, it gets broader. I notice now that we're starting Luke, everything is really starting to come together. A lot of these skills that you built more slowly, especially back when we were in NTI Matthew, everything is starting to come together now. And I even noticed that a lot of the Leo videos, what we learned in the Leo videos, they're really starting to be used. For example, we listened to an RDA teaching this weekend of NTI Luke chapter 1. And in that teaching, as I told my story, I talked about how when I was a teenager, I felt very unworthy, right, on the surface. But as I got older, I press that unworthiness down as I began to do things that I thought were worthy, such as career, travel, etc. Well, as I was listening to that story in the audio, I realized that's very much like, I think it was the first Leo film that we watched in 500 days, which is the fake growth versus real growth, right? When I was having a successful career and I was trying to live the life that I thought was a worthy life, traveling around the world, living in the right town, all that kind of stuff. The unworthiness wasn't being healed. It was being repressed through fake growth. And so what we're doing in NTI now is we're learning to practice the real growth. And that, of course, is healing these false beliefs, like the false belief in unworthiness, as an example. Also, awareness alone is curative is coming back. And we had watched like a longer awareness alone is curative video earlier this weekend. We watched a shorter one to help bring that back. But it's really important that we remember what was in that video, because we're going to be putting awareness on things. And we want to remember awareness alone is curative. Like this past weekend, we were putting awareness on how we distract ourselves, right? We were putting awareness on how we make ourselves special. And really, special in this case means separate or different from others. So it could be a positive special, like I think I'm smarter than everybody else. It could be a more negative special, like I'm, not as smart or not as skilled or not as pretty as other people, right? But we want to bring our awareness to these things, because awareness heals, right? Awareness heals. Awareness alone is curative. So that video came back this week. Also, we're going to start practicing the superconductor more. We're practicing the superconductor with feelings that come up during the day, practicing it live. And of course, the superconductor is how to deal with strong negative emotions. That was the Leo video we watched. And if you want to review how to be the superconductor, you can just go onto YouTube, just type in how to deal with strong negative emotions. Look for the video with that title by actualize.org. And if you don't want to watch the whole video again, just start at, I think I wrote it down here. I thought I did. Yes, start at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. You'll only have to watch a little bit to review the superconductor process, and then you'll have that skill back in mind again, because you practiced it a lot while we were doing NTI Matthew. So you'll have that skill back in mind again as we go forward in NTI Luke, and you're given opportunities to practice that. Also, of course, the more recent video that we watched about distraction, the ego's favorite defense mechanism, that came up in NTI Luke this week. So a lot of this stuff that we've done in the early part of these 100 days is now all coming in at once. Another thing that's coming in throughout NTI Matthew, and then especially even more throughout NTI Mark, we've been practicing reflecting on certain thoughts during the day. And now we've got a couple things going on, right? Where we're reflecting on our gratitude for our willingness, and at the same time, reflecting on the distractions we want to bring awareness to, or reflecting on the ideas of specialness we have that we want to bring awareness to. What we're really doing is we're learning to keep our purpose in our mind, and we're learning to practice throughout our day, right? Which you'll remember when we did talk about Leo's video, distraction, the ego's favorite defense mechanism. Leo kind of implied that, in fact, I think he said it straight out, that it's a lot harder, living in an everyday Western world to become enlightened than it would be if you could go away and sit in a cave somewhere. And I shared with you from the teachings of the spiritual teaching of Ramana Maharshi, that Ramana Maharshi did not take that same view, even though he sat in a cave himself, that he really thought that the householder could bring their attention to their spiritual practice as they go about their day and get the same benefit. And that's what we're doing. You can see that's what we're doing, right? We're bringing our spiritual practice into our day. We don't spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time in contemplation. You may not even spend a lot of time in meditation if you're doing the 15 to 30 minutes every day. but it's staying with us throughout the day now. So we're really becoming much more skilled at keeping our purpose out front and letting our purpose be an important part of our day. This week, we did look at the thought of unworthiness, and some people do have that repressed. I have met people in my years as a spiritual teacher when talking about unworthiness who say, I don't know why you talk about that. I don't have that feeling at all. And as I talk with them a little longer, what we find out is they've repressed that idea. They've stuffed it down underneath their ideas of success or underneath other ideas that they have, their ideas of how they're better than others. And one way we can tell that they've repressed it is because although they don't see themselves as unworthy, they see others as unworthy. They could name for me people who aren't as worthy as they are. So that's projection, right? They've repressed their own feeling of unworthiness and they project it onto others. So if you were reading NTI this week and it talked about the feeling of unworthiness and you thought, oh, I don't have that, I don't have that feeling. You might look and see, do you think other people are unworthy? Is there someone that you know who you think is unworthy? And if so, you are repressing that and projecting it, and you need the healing just as much as the people who believe that they are unworthy. What was really interesting this week is we saw that the root cause of unworthiness is the belief that we're different or separate, right? Without the I, right, you can't have I am unworthy, right? The I is the root cause. So that's kind of interesting. And some of you may not see the connection right away, but some of you might be able to look back and see that connection. You might be able to look and see, oh, yeah, I saw all these people who were athletic and I didn't feel athletic because I was different than them. I felt unworthy. Or I saw all these people who were good at math, and because I was different than them, I wasn't good at math. I felt unworthy. I remember even in high school, just getting up in the cafeteria and taking my tray over to where you left your tray after you ate so they could do the dishes. I was concerned about how other people were watching me walk. Not that they were watching me walk, but at that age, I thought they might be. Was I walking like everybody else? Was I dressed like everybody else, right? Especially as teenagers, this comes out. We want to be in fashion like everybody else. We want to use the same words that other people use, right? And if we're different, we tend to judge ourselves as not good enough. So that is a part of the human psyche, even now at age, 40, 50, 60, 70, right? If it hasn't been healed, it's still in there. So very interesting concept, very interesting teaching, that the root cause of the belief in unworthiness is the belief that I'm different or separate. So, so that's an interesting point that was brought out this week. Also, this week we were told again how important our willingness is. We were given time to focus on our willingness. I want to jump ahead. I'm jumping over to NTI Galatians. Let's see what chapter this is. Chapter 5. It's in NTI on page 335. I want to read about what NTI says about how important your willingness is. Listen to this. Focus on your willingness as if it is your truth, because it is. Focus on your willingness as if it holds the answer to all questions, because it does. Focus on your willingness as if it is everything to everyone, because it is. Focus on your own willingness. That is love alive within the world. I'm going to give you an image that isn't true. Not exactly, but it's a good image. Let's think of the body, as apparently separate from God. But within this body, we'll say in the heart area, there's this willingness to know truth. That willingness, no matter how small it is, that is like a light link that comes out of the body. I'll say through the back, but I'm kind of making this up. This is both a symbol, both not true and true at the same time. And this light goes up, connects with God and with everyone else, right? So because that light goes through the heart, out the back, or you might even imagine it through the heart, up through the head, right? Either way, up to God, and is completely connected with God. It's almost like it's the finger of God down in your body, right? This part of the finger of God is in your body. You can trace that finger back to the hand of God and the quote body of God, God itself. So this little willingness has all the power of God in it. It has all the knowledge of God in it. It has God's will in it. And because you can feel it right here, you're connected to all of that. That's the part that isn't true. The image I'm giving about it going through your heart, not your back or up the top of your head and connecting to God, that part is not true. That's just symbol. But the fact that it has all the power of God in it, all of the knowledge of God in it, right? All of the will of God in it, that part is true. So your willingness is very, very important. And whatever you focus on expands. And that's why we've been spending time focusing on our willingness with gratitude, right? Trusting that our willingness is growing. Now, sometimes people tell me they can't feel their willingness. That's okay. You know what? You don't have to feel it. If you're doing the 500 days, it's apparently there, or you wouldn't be doing the 500 days. In fact, right now I'm recording this and the 500 days is happening for the first time. We had about 140 people start. The reason I know that is because I can see how many people watch these videos. Now we have around 60 people still watching the videos at this point. So over half the people have dropped off. So if you're still here, you must have willingness, whether you feel it or not, right? You're still here. That kind of reminds me of what we read in NTI Luke chapter 1 this week. You who are reading this are blessed, right? You've made it all the way through NTI Matthew, NTI Mark, and you're still reading this. Now, the truth is, even those who aren't reading this are blessed. But, this is talking to you. You're here, right? You who are reading this are blessed. It also says, for you are beloved beyond measure. You are the treasure that is sought. You are everything complete in God. The Holy Spirit is born in you. His kingdom is within your awareness, for his kingdom is your kingdom. You, dear one, are the one. Together we will learn this lesson. Amen. Right? Now that paragraph is also true of the people who aren't reading this, the people who've never picked up NTI or who didn't make it as far as NTI Luke. But this is true of you, and somewhere in you, you know that. That's your willingness. That's why you're still here, even if you don't feel it. Another thing that was, listen to this from NTI Luke chapter 2. Willingness has been born in the mind. This willingness promises all of the glory of heaven. For this willingness is the Savior, the Christ, right? It is consciousness. It is truth. And it is with you within your heart. Do not worry how this willingness will grow to become the glory it promises to be. Rest instead with the thought of the promise. And we did that a lot this past week. And be grateful. It is through your love and gratitude that this babe is nursed. Its growth is inevitable. So do not worry about it. Love it in your heart and be happy there. It also goes on to say, there will be conflict in your mind as this young willingness grows within you. Sometimes your goal may seem lost to you and you will forget your focus and return to the focus of the world, right? You may already experience this during the day, but never fear. The willingness has been born and cannot be lost. It is within the temple of your heart forever safe, clear in understanding, paving your way for you. When you forget your willingness and then remember it, return to it there in your heart. You will find it there, safe within your Father's love, growing in strength, sure of who it is. Rejoice, for you cannot make a mistake that will cause you to lose your willingness. It is always there, waiting patiently and lovingly for you to return to it. When you forget, just return again. So this willingness is very important, and everyone that hears this has willingness. So yeah, although you may seem to forget, maybe you have trouble remembering to contemplate whatever thought we're contemplating that day 8 times, that's okay. When you remember, just come back, right? We saw that in NTI Matthew chapter 13 too. I don't know if you remember, I told you NTI Matthew chapter 13 was my favorite chapter in NTI Matthew. Let me see, let me read just a few sentences from that real quick. Listen, it says the same kind of thing. The choice you make will seem to be made many times in complete sincerity and truth of heart. And then you will seem to slip and forget the choice you have made. Do not let this distress you. Simply make the choice again. You see, you forget, you get distracted, you go away, just come back. You forget, you get distracted, you go away, just come back. In meditation too, you forget to notice your jaw gets tight, your attention gets focused. Okay, just relax. Let your awareness broaden, right? Every time you notice, you just come back. Do not worry that you do not tend to your choice enough. For if you tend to your choice every time you remember, that is enough. For in the tending of your choice, the tending itself will extend. If every time you remember, you've forgotten for hours to contemplate the thought we're contemplating for the day, and then, you remember, oh my gosh, here it is, 2:00 in the afternoon. I did this morning once and I haven't done it then. Fine. At 2:00 in the afternoon, come back to it. Do it then, right? That's what this says. And it says, if you do that, if every time you remember, you bring yourself back to your willingness, bring yourself back to your practice, let your awareness broaden during the meditation, you're going to start remembering more, right? You're going to start doing it more. For in the tending of your choice, the tending itself will extend until you are tending to your choice in every moment as you desire. So let me look ahead real quick. I didn't do that, and I would like to just see if there's anything I want to talk about coming up in the next week. So yeah, again, we are going to be practicing the superconductor this week. So if you've forgotten that process, you can go and review it. I told you how earlier in this video. We're still going to be reviewing certain thoughts 8 times a day. We'll continue with the do nothing meditation, but we're going to, add to it, letting our attention be broad. This weekend, your special assignment, it looks like, will be another Regina Dawn Akers teaching from NTI Luke. So nothing unexpected, really, just continuing on. So I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week with NTI Luke. Bye.